Hey y'all, how you doing? So I want to take this time to explain politics in America, the truth of it. Um, a lot of people think that politics in America means that you either fall on the right or on the left. Now, on the left, you would be considered a liberal, okay? And otherwise, a Democrat. And then on the right, we have Republicans. Otherwise known as conservatives. Once upon a time, that was mostly true. But the politics in America have always been changing, okay? I mean, from the time of the Federalists and Anti-Federalists to now, the politics in America have never been just two parties. A lot of media outlets would like to sell you on that idea, but it's not true. One of the things that's come about, especially since Gamergate, the SJW movement, and a lot of these other what would be considered liberal, is the awakening in America of the fact that there's also not just left and right, but up and down also. Now, what do we have up at the top? Authoritarians. And down at the bottom, libertarians. Now, here's the part where I need to clarify a few things. Not everything is as advertised. For instance, on the left side, where the Democrats live, are the people that call themselves liberal. Liberal is supposed to mean open-minded, as in humble to other people's opinion. That's what liberal is supposed to mean. It's not what it means today. They're just using it as a term. Same thing over here with the Republicans and conservatives. The idea behind a conservative is that they're trying to conserve an ideology or set of ideas, whatever you want to consider it. So that's what the terms are supposed to mean. But politics in America now looks more like this. Your Democrats and Republicans are not so much far apart from each other when you get to the fact that they are more about authoritarian ideology. Authoritarian ideology means that the government gets to control things. Down at the bottom, where most libertarians are, is the idea that people are left to manage their own affairs. Now, there are a lot of other things, a lot of other ideologies that were not taken into account in the political scheme, mostly because they're not exactly relevant in America. You have your anarchists, you have your communist socialists, a lot of these other fascists, different terms that get thrown around, but most of them aren't actually all that relevant. Democrats and Republicans are absolutely very relevant. They've been the mainstream media for as long as I've ever known, a little bit longer than that too. But here's the thing. The Democrats do not live over here where they were a balance of authority and sovereignty, individual sovereignty, nor are the Republicans a balance between authority and individual sovereignty. They have both moved way up here to the top of the scale where authoritarians are. Republicans absolutely want to tell you who you can and cannot marry. It's the same with the Democrats. They absolutely want to tell you who you can and cannot marry. You understand that? Now, Republicans want to say that it's between one man and one woman. Why? Because they came from a conservative background. They have inherited, Republicans have inherited the reputation of being conservative. They're not conservative anymore. When you get closer to an authoritarian, you get less conservative. You see that? You have now almost converted to a centralist. Okay? That's what happens when you lose your balance between authority and liberty. So, the Republicans want to tell you who you can and can't marry. Democrats want to tell you who you can and can't marry also. They also want the government to tell you who you can and who you can't marry. Right now, they're of the strong belief that a woman can marry a woman, a man can marry a man. And I really don't know where that line ends for them, because they're still trying to figure it out themselves, between multiple partner marriages, marriage to property like chairs, marriage to animals. Yeah, it's getting weird. It's getting stupid. But they don't know where to draw that line, because they're trying to come from the liberal roots. They're trying to hold true to their open-minded roots. But again, you're less open-minded when you become an authoritarian. It's less about being open-minded. It's more about being a centralist. It's more about using the government to get an answer. Okay? Now, this is what's being sold to us. This is what it really is. And Americans are figuring that out. With the blatant lies that we're being told through media, and the fact that we have such great advances in technology like the internet and social media platforms, and we are a global networked society now, more so than we ever were when newspaper was the way to get the news. We're figuring this out. It's been like this for a while now. It's actually probably closer to like that. But the main difference between an authoritarian and a libertarian is that a libertarian says it's not up to the government who you marry. And in fact, in America, if you read the First Amendment to the Constitution, the government shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Marriage is an institution of religion. Marriage has been around longer than the government. It is a religious ceremony. That's what marriage is. And the government should not recognize it based on the First Amendment. But in America, we're so far beyond recognizing and adhering and abiding to the Constitution that it just doesn't really matter what it says anymore. You either go for the government for the answer, or you tell the government to stay out of your business. And that's what a libertarian is supposed to do. Now, the thing about the Libertarian Party, which is a real thing in America right now, is that they are equally left and right. They take up this entire triangle. They are basically, officially, the Libertarian Party as of 2016 in favor of abortion. They try to throw a free market principle at it, like, well, it's your choice. It's between you and somebody else. Overlooking the consent factor of the child in the womb, which is where my beliefs are. As far as where do I lie, I am somewhere around here, myself personally. Okay? If you were to plot a point, Joe is something in that area. I am way, way, way below using the government to solve every answer, and I'm more towards trying to conserve ideologies than just being completely open-minded. So that's about where I am. Which means that for me, the political party that's closest to me is libertarians. Now again, I don't agree with everything that they are officially for, but I definitely say I'm around 75-80% in agreement with them, and I'm about 75 and 80% in disagreement with everything that a Republican or a Democrat says. Now, this does not cover the actual corruption, the mafia or mafioso mentality of many of our politicians today. There's still a few good ones out there fighting the good fight, but for the most part, when you read Romans 13, and I highly recommend you do that, And it talks about you need to pay your taxes, you need to submit yourself to government authority because they are there to bring justice to the wicked. You don't have anything to fear if you're not a criminal. And that is true so long as the government is looking out for the best interest of its people. But when the government's not, it doesn't line up with the rest of Scripture. Okay? When the government is willing to, Romans 13 literally says, pay your taxes. They deserve their wages for being a government employee, basically. But it also says that the government is there to protect people, to punish criminals. So when they start, in the way I read that, the way I understand that, when the government starts punishing people and protecting criminals, it no longer falls under the jurisdiction of the Bible. And when Jesus comes back, he's going to set a lot of things straight. But I don't want a kingdom of heaven style government unless Jesus Christ is the king. So long as our governments are made up of people, we can't use that model. It'll never work. So then we have Romans 13 as kind of a guide for how government should be and how our attitude towards government should be. As long as it's a just government, pay your taxes. But if it's a corrupt government, I don't see any reason that we should continue to allow the government to persecute the people. And it really doesn't matter what your religion you fall under or what ideology you believe in. The fact is, when the government becomes tyrannical, it is the duty of the people to do justice, which is to throw off old guards and institute new ones. And that's why people need to do their homework, figure out where you land on this thing and what you believe. So anyways, this is a quick rundown of politics in America and where I land on things. I wish there was a political party right here, but there's really not. We've got this one, or this one, and that's the closest one to me, so that's where I'm at. That's where I mostly vote. And we'll see after 2016, this election and everything else that's going on, how America looks after that. And if I have the opportunity, I'll upload a video following the changes in the environment in America and where I land with that. Thanks for watching.